Hello everyone, welcome back to Forum Chess Club. So today we are going to see two hard puzzles, believe me, which is really hard. And it is not just the puzzles, but the puzzle come in-game strategy. So that is what we are going to see today. So the very first puzzle which we are going to see today is how to avoid a pin from black queen and to do a checkmate when you are playing white. So repeat, how to avoid a pin from black queen and you have to do a checkmate when you are playing white. And the second puzzle which we are going to see today is how to avoid a forced stalemate for black but a win for a white. So if you are playing white, you have to win this game and you have to also avoid the stalemate for the black. So watch till end of the video for the answers of these two wonderful puzzles. Now comes the first puzzle. So if you look at the board here, black queen actually having a pin with your white queen. So you cannot move your white queen at all. But at the same time, here in this position, there is an option to do a checkmate for white. So you have to play your white and you have to do a checkmate. There's an option for it, but before you get into it, if you look at the material for white, it has a queen and a rook. But here if you look at it, queen is already there in a pin, so you cannot move your queen at the moment, but you can move only your rook and king. So if you just move your rook alone to do a forced checkmate and forced check and then forced to move for black, then you cannot achieve your checkmate. So we have to follow some strategy here. So the first strategy which we are going to see here is we have to avoid the pin here. We have to avoid the you have to avoid the pin. So there are two ways to avoid the pin. The first way is to bring back your queen to b2 and then you can b2 or c3 in support of king or rook and then you can avoid the pin. But it's of no use. It will allow black to actually threaten the white side. So there's another option here. The other option here is you can force your white rook to move to c3 square by d3 check and then c3 check. So if you do so, now you can able to avoid the pin of your queen. So that is what we are going to see first. So now, as I said, d3 check. So if you go to d3 check, then there's no other option for black. It has to go to c8. There's no other option. That's the only legal move for black. So c3, rook c3 check, and now it has two options. Either it can go to b8 or it can go to d8. But again, if you look for white, it is not just check. It also avoided the pin. It's a free move for white because black has to avoid the check. So while avoiding the check, you can move your queen to a safer side, safer location. So consider if at all they are playing king d8. So then it is a mate in 1. Yes, it is a mate in 1. So if it plays king d8, then you can go to queen c7. That is a checkmate. So obviously they will not go to d8. Instead they will go to b8. So if they go to b8, so now you have to come to again. You have to do some strategy here. So now you have to look. What you have to think of is you have to force your opponent king to move to the edge of the board, which is a file. So if it go to the if it go to the edge of the file, then you can mate with your queen and rook by moving by placing your queen and rook in A and B files. So that is the only option here. So in order to do that, we have to again do lot of strategy here. We can see one by one. So first thing is you just avoided the pin of white queen. So you can utilize your white queen and see how we can establish this particular situation. So now you can develop your queen to c7 and it is a check. So now it is a forced move for king. It has to go only to a8. So now you have to think of avoiding the pin of your rook, because as I said earlier, you have to place your two materials in A file and B file. So obviously you have to remove your rook from here, C file, to either to A or B. So in order to avoid that, again a same kind of strategy, but this time you have to avoid the pin of your white rook. So you have to follow the same strategy. In the earlier step, when queen was there in G7, you have placed your rook in C3 and just avoided the pin. Now it is a very similar fashion. You have to place your queen to B2 with some check. Then you can take your rook from C3 to some other place. So our ultimate aim here is you have to place your queen to B2, and you have to force you have to move your rook to A3. So that is what we are going to achieve here. So how to achieve? How to come to B3 with all the checks? Until you come to B2, it should be a check. So the first thing you can do is you can come to queen. You can take the queen and place it in A5, and you can have a check. And the only option it can go is in the B file, which is B7 or B8. So wherever it goes, you can play B4 and a check, and similarly A3 check, and then B2 check. So by this zigzag checks, you can come to B2. Let's see one by one. So in response to king, you can place queen A5 check. So as I said earlier, like it can go to either B7 or B8. So if it goes to B8, then B4 check, A8, A7. It can also go to A7. So now queen A3 check, same pattern, B7 or B8, then B2 check. So it is not just check, but also you have avoided the pin. So now if you look for the black, then the only option which it can go to the A file, which is the edge of the board, and then it can go to either A7 or A8. So if it goes to any of the squares, then you can place your rook to A3, and it is a checkmate. So it's a little hard to understand the situation and to strategize your moves, but it is actually a really good puzzle. So now comes the second puzzle. So if you look at a board here, for both black and white, there is no major or minor pieces to attack or defend. But it has only the pawns for both the sides. It has only the pawns. Now white has to play, and it has to win the game. So for white, if you look at it here, white king is placed in the H8, and there is a pawn promotion option here. Like if the A7 goes to A8, then it can promote to any of the major or minor pieces. But at the same time, if you look for the black, it has only one legal move, that is nothing but by moving the D4 pawn to D3 square. So that is the only legal move. Once after it played to D3, then black don't have any legal moves, and that may lead to a stalemate. So now our ultimate aim here is we have to avoid a stalemate. That's the first thing. Then we have to do a checkmate. Since we have all the 8 pawns in the board, so we have to do a checkmate within the setup. So it's a white move. So let's promote and see how we can go further. So you can promote your pawn to A8. Maybe you can promote it as a queen. I will show you like how we can do it can lead to a stalemate. So now for black, the only legal move it has is moving the pawn to D3. So that's the only legal move. But if you look at here, in whatever the step, white moves, then it is a stalemate for black. It is a stalemate. So obviously, promoting to queen is not a good option. So we can think of some other scenario. Again, you can't move your D pawn. So if you move to D pawn, again it's a stalemate directly. It's a stalemate. Again, if you move to B pawn, then again it will go to D3 and it will go for a stalemate. At the same time, there's another legal move for white. White can go to G8, but again, if they go to D3, then it is a stalemate. So only option is we have to promote our A pawn to something else to avoid the stalemate. So now let's see one by one. So now if it goes to A8 and promote it as a rook. So now also the same thing will repeat. The pawn will go here, and whatever the step is, it will be a stalemate. So obviously this will not be a wise decision. So what else? We have a bishop now. So if you promote it as a bishop, then also it will go here, and there's no other legal move for black. Then it is a stalemate. So one option is if you promote your pawn to knight, then there comes an option for black to play. I will tell you why, how it is. So obviously the one legal move for black here is moving the pawn to d3. So now place your knight to b6. So that is a legal move for black, which is taking the knight with the pawn. So you just take it. So now think of it again, you have to promote your pawn to do a checkmate, or else you can't do a checkmate because the black king, it's in a situation where it can go for a stalemate. So again develop, promote your pawn to 8th rank. So now it is c7. So in reply, the only legal move is b5. So now promote. Again, do promote with your knight, because it is a very similar situation. If you promote it as a queen, then it has only one legal move here. But if you promote it as a knight, then you can have you can again go to d6, and you can enable some moves for black. Like instead of queen, you can while promoting to c8 promote it as a knight. So go here and promote it as a knight. So only move here is b4. Now again go to d6 to enable the black to take the pawn, and it has some moves. So now again do the same pattern, develop your pawn. So they will also move their pawn to d5. So it's a e8, again promote it to a knight. So only legal move here is d4. So again we will do the same pattern, place your knight to f6. So it will take, black will take the knight. So it has a lot of free moves now. So now develop your develop your pawn. So they will move, one legal move as f5. So now develop. So now that is a mate in 1, because if you develop this to knight, then it is a mate in 1. So let's see how it is. If you go here and develop it to it as a knight, then it is a mate in 1. You did a checkmate. So obviously you might enjoy both the puzzles. So both are really hard, and it is not just actually the puzzle, it is also an endgame strategy. Hope you enjoyed it. I will come back with another puzzle. Thank you for watching.